In this episode, I'm talking to Safety Education Advisor, Stephen Molinelli.
I was living in Edmonton and I got fired from the job, and then I got an impair charge, which was my second impair charge, and then within 2 months I was homeless.
From motorcycles to dumpsters to DUI educator for the Saskatchewan Safety Council, Stephen shares his valuable insights openly from our booth at the 2024 Saskatchewan Safety Seminar in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
I mean, in the end, it was pretty sad, right? It was dark. It was either, do I continue down this road with inevitable death, or do I reach out for recovery again? There was only two streets I could drive down, right?
Yeah.
So,
what's up? My name's Dan, podcaster, keynote speaker, and advocate, and this is Hard Knocks Talks, your addictions podcast. Shout out to the Saskatchewan Safety Council for inviting me to produce some content and deliver a talk about my experiences with addiction in the trades. I had a great time, fostered some great conversations. Now let's hear my talk with alcoholic in recovery, Stephen Molinelli.
This is Hard Knocks Talks.
I'm interested to know, working for the Safety Council, being involved and being immersed in the safety culture, what's that been like for you in your recovery?
you know, it's twofold, right? Because a lot of it, I see my own story day after day among people I meet, but then at the same time, I feel like I'm giving back, right? I'm able to help people that maybe didn't have an opportunity to help, or also show people that there is hope in recovery, right? I mean, I could have never dreamt about a job like this when I was in active addiction, and now I'm actually helping make people's lives safer. That's a trip, right? That's wild. So
what was it like for you in active addiction?
Imagine the darkest place possible, right?
Check.
No hope. I certainly didn't want to live, you know.
Where did it take you?
To a dumpster just off of 17th Street in Calgary. So I was homeless, and it was not a great place, but that's where my addiction wanted to take me, because that's where I was able to freely use alcohol and drugs at my leisure with nobody telling me what I could do. So I chose homelessness over a roof over my head so I could continue to use. So yeah, it's a pretty dark place, man.
So you went to the street to find comfort?
Yeah, totally.
Did it work?
No. Well, yes and no.
For a minute.
Yeah, for a bit. I
yeah.
mean, at first it was like, this is awesome, right? I can do... I don't have to answer to anyone, right?
Sweet freedom.
Yeah. It's just, it was easy to just do what I wanted to do. But, I mean, in the end, it was pretty sad, right? It was dark. It was either, do I continue down this road with inevitable death, or do I reach out for recovery again? There was only two streets I could drive down, right?
Yeah.
So,
Like, what did you do for in your professional career before all of this went sideways?
So at the time, in that time in my life, I was in the automotive trade. So I was a sales manager, very high pressure, very high stress, long work hours, that kind of thing, right? So it was a easy place to make your addiction stronger, because that industry fed that addiction, and the money was big, and I mean, it was kind of everywhere, right? So yeah.
You mentioned you were at a fork in the road.
Yeah, so I had a job, and I was living in Edmonton and that kind of thing, and I got fired from the job, and then I got an impair charge, which was my second impair charge, and then within 2 months I was homeless, because I just kept using and drinking and spending my money.
Was there married, kids, anything?
I was married. I had divorced a few years before that. 3 kids, with my ex-wife. So by that time they had kind of erased me from their life, right? I wasn't. I was what's the word I'm looking for? Not an expenditure. I was a liability, right?
Yeah.
You know, because I'm trying to con them out of money, and I'm trying to, there was one suicide attempt where my daughter found me. I mean, it's just not a good scene, right?
Wow.
So
that's heavy.
It is heavy. Yeah. Super heavy.
Was that because you couldn't put the bottle down, or you couldn't put the
100%.
pipe down, or?
No, couldn't put the bottle down.
Yeah.
Bottle was my number one choice.
Yeah.
Drugs augmented that, right? Drugs gave me the ability to drink more. That's how I discovered drugs.
So something that piqued my interest, you mentioned that your career sort of fueled your addiction.
Totally. Yeah.
So your workplace.
Yep.
How did it propagate it? Did it glamorize it? Did
all of the above? Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I don't want to talk negatively about that whole industry. It's just what happened to me, but it's happened to other people as well. It congratulates that type of behavior, and it wants that type of behavior, and it rewards it, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the motorcycle is like the pinnacle icon of rebellion.
Sure, exactly, right? So flashy cars, expensive clothes, good-looking women. I mean, parties till whatever, right?
You know what I learned? There's good-looking women outside those places,
Isn't
too.
that wild, eh?
I know, it took me a while.
They're still good-looking.
In fact, I found one in there,
yeah,
and I pulled her out. Well, I didn't pull her out, but she came out with me.
She joined you in your journey.
So, okay, I kind of contradicted myself there, but she's now on the outside.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, it is true. But yeah, no, the industry, we're sitting at a safety seminar, right? We're talking about safety in the workplace and stuff like that. And that's one of the things we should be talking about out there, right?
Yeah.
Is safety in the workplace, and obviously our stories.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
is your workplace propagating addiction?
Right.
Propagating, is it glamorizing drinking? Is that okay for everyone to get sloshed after work or before work?
Yep.
Is everybody smoking a joint at lunch? Like, is that normal there? Because it's been normal for me in the past.
Yep. And I think there's a lot of industries out there that need to take a real good hard look at what they're allowing and not allowing, or not even allowing. How are they helping their staff get over these things, right? Yeah. I was talking to the recovery center that's here earlier.
Sky Recovery Center. Yeah, they're right there.
Yeah, sweet, right?
Yeah.
And one of her missions is to get out there in front of other companies and say, look, like, there are ways that we can help get your employees clean, back to work, and happy again, right?
Or what about ways that we can foster more productive conversations? What about how can we make it okay for your employees to talk to you about these things and not fear punitive action?
Well, I think the first thing to anything is education, right? Yeah. If people like you and I, can educate these companies and go, you know what, that these are actually, they're people just like you and I, and let's have those conversations openly and honestly, right, with each other. Because, I mean, the fortunate thing for people like you and I, as compared to the first time that I tried to recover back in 2001, is it's more acceptable now, right? I mean, we can talk about recovery openly at the dinner table or at a restaurant, or we all have friends and things like that have been down these roads. But I think we need to push that further and get it into the workplace and into the HR departments and things like that. So that's how we're going to get this battle won, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Check. Yeah, there we go.
Follow Hard Knocks Talks.
Yeah.
So now you're a safety professional now.
Yeah.
That's crazy. You were talking to me about how you are now doing driver safety education.
Yep. So I do, my shtick is anything with wheels. So motorcycles, ATVs, snowmobiles, forklifts, and I do a lot of defensive driving training and winter driving training.
What about what's the one that they have to take when they get a DUI?
I don't do that one, but I do one of the ones that you would have to do the SGI mandated course before you go down that road of getting...
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see people who have gotten DUIs 100%. And you're educating them.
Yep.
So what is that like for you? Because, I mean, you've gotten 2 DUIs yourself. Do you open up with that and be like, I get it. I got 2 DUIs, it's okay.
I don't. But I do talk about my story, and I do say that my current choice is abstinence, right? That is one of the options of drinking and driving is don't drink.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I do relay that.
That's stupid.
Who does that, right? Like, come on. Like, really?
Yeah.
Normal people, apparently. Right?
Apparently.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's weird, and it's difficult. Like, I don't want to be that guy, because it's like, hey, I did it twice,
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm proof that I can learn, right?
Yeah.
We're not all completely hopeless, right? I mean, we do recover. I mean, I love that saying, right? We do recover, and we do things like this now, right?
Yeah.
So, and we need to normalize that,
yeah.
right?
So how long you been sober now?
6 years. Well, 6 years next month, yeah.
What was your first year like?
The first year back was honestly pretty awesome. I was very grateful to be alive. I was grateful that I could have a meal, have a cup of coffee, and I was just grateful that I got another chance, because I didn't think that was going to happen. So, and I've carried that through these past 6 years.
Did you do the detox and treatment route?
I didn't. I tried, and it just wasn't available to me at the time. So I just hit the rooms hard, and that's what got me to where I am now.
You open to talking about that?
Absolutely.
So what was that like for you walking in the doors? So you have had 2 stints of sobriety,
Yep.
right? You had 10 years, and now you have another 6.
Yeah. So what happened to me is I had those 10 years, but I don't believe. I always say that I went to the rooms, but I wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I came back, my relapse was 5 years. I got drunk in 2013, came back in March of 2018.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was great. I mean, I did have people that approached me and went like, "We thought you were dead."
Yeah.
But it was
you weren't walking back into the rooms with shame or
not
fear,
at all.
or...
No, because if you know the traditions and the steps a little bit, there's a third tradition. The only requirement is a desire to stop drinking.
Yeah, that's a tradition.
I love that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what kept me coming back. Right.
I mean, that doesn't completely remove everyone's fear from going back. I mean, these traditions are beautiful, and I get that, But I mean, there's also people in the room who are imperfect.
100%.
And then come to the rooms, we won't judge you. Yeah, bullshit. You're gonna definitely.
I mean, I'm going to judge you when I get home.
I'm just not going to judge you in front
Yeah.
of you. I'm not going to tell you about the things I'm judging you on. Yeah.
But that's one of the. Actually, you know what's funny? That's one of the gifts. Is I don't care who judges me. I remember being in active addiction and driving a $120,000 car, carrying what everybody, look at me, look at who I am. Now I drive a rusty 82 pickup truck, and I am the happiest.
82, I can smell it.
Yeah,
I can smell your truck.
Yeah, you can feel it actually.
Yeah.
It's rusting around. But and that's where I'm at. I don't care.
It smells like Saskatchewan.
It does. It's totally true. But yeah, I don't care anymore. I just don't care.
Yeah.
Right. So
you entered into recovery. You went into the rooms.
Yep.
When did you see the light?
Oh, it was pretty quick.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, it didn't take long.
Yeah.
It didn't take long, and I guess because literally ever since I've come back, every day, every month, every hour, my life has gotten better. I got a job. I started working. I got friends back in my life. I met my future wife. My kids started talking to me again. Oh, wait, I got a better job. Oh, wait. It was just and it hasn't stopped. I'm not saying my life is all, butterflies and roses and
I like to dial
shit.
that. Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Not.
I like to dial it in because some people get carried away and because life does get good.
Totally.
But it also gets hard.
Yeah, it gets
my
hard,
life is good because it's hard. I have challenges. I have mountains to climb. I have things in front of me. I need
But
that.
your life is also good because when it does get fucking bad,
you can swear.
Okay. When it does get bad, you have the tools to deal with it. You don't go running to the bottle.
Yeah.
You don't go running to the pipe, right?
Yeah.
Our life can fucking suck. Have I dealt with death? Yeah. Have I dealt with people relapsing and dying? Yeah. Have I dealt with financial woes? 100%.
Yeah.
But I know what to do about it,
Yeah.
right? I don't need to rely on those old ways of life, right?
Yeah.
Because the drugs and the booze and all that crap is but yet just a little part of it, right? It's a living problem that I got, right?
Yep.
So once I figure out the living problem, I can deal with all that shit, right? So
if we're talking about the 12 steps, I mean, they only mention the substance in the first step. The rest of it's about learning how to live.
100%.
And and I've said this a lot of times before on the podcast, and I'm not a proponent for the Alcoholics Anonymous or anything. I used the 12 steps. They were very useful to me. I still reflect on them sometimes. I end up in a meeting. But I think everybody should do the steps, whether you're alcoholic or not.
You know what's funny? My wife said that to me once. She's like, I wish that was just a recipe for life.
It is.
Right?
What do you mean you wish?
Well, no, but we don't, it's not available. Well, it is available to anyone, but you know what I mean? It's not like everybody has a 12-step program.
Yeah.
Everybody's working these steps. Everybody's admitting that, they have defaults and character defects that they need to work on, right?
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To admit that, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, how old were your kids when you came back in?
Okay, so my son would have been...
Old enough to know?
12. Oh, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. So 12, early 20s, and mid-20s.
What was that like coming back?
I didn't think that my one daughter and my son would ever speak to me again. That was hard. My oldest daughter did. She actually helped me out a lot in early sobriety. I didn't have a lot of money. She gave me a ride to the food bank to get some food and stuff like that, and we reconnected.
That must have been a humbling experience for you.
Yeah, but it was cool. I it was swallow my pride and deal with it, right? But slowly they all came around. I mean, I think my middle daughter's probably still the hardest, right? Because she was the one that kind of dealt with a lot of my crap.
Yeah.
And, but we openly talk about it now, so that's good, right? I know that she still gets emotional at times. There was the Lumineers song, Gloria. That's what it was. The song Gloria is about a family member in the band, the Lumineers, and my daughter loves the Lumineers, and she sent me the song one day. She's like, you have to listen to this song.
I hate it when people do that.
Oh, it's so... But of course, then I'm like in a puddle of tears, and I'm going, this is, but yeah, so...
Yeah. So, let's talk more about that.
Sure.
Now, you said your one daughter was very receptive, and your now wife, you met her in recovery. She didn't know you. No?
She's never met Drunk Steve. No.
Yeah. So
No.
what about the kid's mom?
We
don't need to go diving into.
No. Let's do it. No,
Yeah.
I mean, we luckily have a very good relationship, and she was an advocate of me getting sober. I mean, she saw me sober the first time, and was always kind of in my court, I would say, right?
Yeah.
And when I came back, it was the living amends with her, and there was some financial things that maybe I didn't do right that I'm still kind of making right with her, and no, we're good. Like she's been a fan of mine, and we're still getting along really, really well, and communicating very openly about everything, and it's good. Yeah, it's super good.
And is safety your first? Was that your first job?
Oh
coming
God,
back?
No. You know what? I fell into this.
Yeah, like how did
fell into this? Get it? So I like I said, I was in the automotive trade, and I kind of did a little bit of that in early recovery just because I had to, because it's what I knew.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to get out, and I wanted to play with airplanes. It was a thing. I was like, I want to be in the aviation business, and I did get to do that for a little while in recovery, but I learned that I didn't like it. But while I was doing that, I was a part-time motorcycle instructor for the Safety Council. So on the weekends, I would teach people how to ride bikes, which I love, right? And long story short, I was going to quit the aviation job, and they said, well, why don't you come work for us full-time? And I went, why not? Sure. I mean, I'm not a safety person. I don't have the degree and the background and stuff like that, but I do know how to operate all this stuff safely, and my motorsports background helped with that kind of stuff. So yeah, and then it's my second year with them, my second year at the conference here, and it's been great. Yeah.
you said that motorcycles helped you in your recovery?
They did.
That's interesting because we just finished talking about how that culture really kind of sunk you, and now we're going to come out the other side and completely contradict ourselves.
Yeah, totally. We do that at times, right?
We do that all the time.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine from BC who she owns a Harley, and she was on the show a couple weeks ago, and she was saying that motorcycles are excellent for people who are in recovery from PTSD.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So tell us how having a motorcycle has helped you.
So I suffer from ADHD and obviously addiction and stuff like that. When you're on a bike and you're riding, like, you can just get out of your own head. Like, there's no phones, there's no bullshit, there's no, right? And
like your hands are pretty much tied to those bars.
And it's rhythmic, and the sound of the engine and stuff around you, it's therapeutic. Yeah. I know lots of people in recovery that ride motorcycles and have used motorcycles as part of their recovery.
Yeah.
PTSD, totally. I know people like that as well, right?
Well, it gives you no choice but to be in the moment.
Yep.
You know, there's things going on around you. It is very dangerous.
Yep.
You know,
and it's out of your control. You can't control everything, right?
So, and I had another interesting conversation. And now, I mean, the motorcycle is in your control.
Yep.
However, I had a friend come on the other day on the show, and he was talking about sailing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, sailing, and it was very much the same thing. It puts you in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, and I can control how much sail I have. I can control the direction that I'm going. I cannot control the wind.
Yep.
I cannot control the waves. And that's what makes it so engaging.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and it's spiritual. It puts you in contact with something bigger than yourself.
And that's the whole thing, right? It is taking yourself out of the equation and making sure that you realize that I'm not everything, right? There are things completely out of my control.
We need to be reminded of that.
Daily, right?
Yeah.
Daily, right?
Yeah.
So, and motorcycling and sailing and, running. I mean, there's all kinds of...
Jiu-jitsu is good for me. Nothing will put you in the moment faster than a big dude on top of you trying to choke you out. I'm telling you, Nothing. There's nothing. There's
Subscribe
not a pill
to
in the
Hard
world.
Knock Talks for more tips and tricks.
Yeah.
Wow, that's one I didn't know about. Yeah. I could see that though. That makes sense to me.
I think it's not unlike motorcycle. You know,
Yeah.
like you're there's like tons of machinery whizzing past you, or you're whizzing past it, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like it's very dangerous.
Well, my first job in recovery was somebody else that was in recovery that had a very small motorcycle shop, and they took me on as a mechanic, and I did little repairs and stuff like that. Still didn't even have a driver's license at this point, but just being around the bikes and it just kind of brought me back to old Steve and made me feel good again. And yeah, it was part of my recovery for sure. So
Cool.
yeah.
What do you do exactly again? Like, what is your title? You're an educator?
I'm what is my title? I am a safety education specialist.
Yes.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
is a pretty broad term. But
So do you go into workplaces?
Oh, all the time.
And
Absolutely.
you mentioned before that you do disclose your story
Yeah.
to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, last year here, I got to say my entire story in front of hundreds of people in one of these breakout rooms, right?
Yeah.
It was pretty... It was inspiring. It was cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I had so many people come up to me after... I was telling you earlier, right? They came up after the fact and went, my uncle was an alcoholic, or
Yeah.
my daughter is struggling with meth, or whatever. And it was like, wow, you guys are opening up to me after an hour conversation. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was neat.
So what I'm getting at here is when you're doing these educations and you're getting in front of people who have suffered a loss as a result of their drinking, and you disclose, do you ever have people come up to you in these workplaces or in these environments afterwards and like what you're just mentioning there and like open up to you?
Yeah, I've had it a couple times. Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but it happens. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they just want to talk to somebody who understands them, right?
Yeah,
So, and if they figure out, and I think that's why I've never been shy about what I've been through, is literally for that, right? I mean, if you can sympathize with somebody and sit and just be like, hey man, I get it, and I've been there.
Yeah.
Right. And I always like to say too, none of us, we're all human, right? We're all flawed.
Yeah.
Like, come on, right? I mean, but we can, if we put in the work, we can correct some of the damage we've done, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
including to the damage we've done to ourselves.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man. This is
man.
an honor. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's rad. So.
Yeah, that's it. All right, thanks again to the Sask Safety Council for having us at their seminar. If you liked what you heard here today, please hit that subscribe button at the bottom of the screen, turn on notifications, give us a like, drop us a comment, leave your thoughts. That's all we got. Thanks so much.
Say, this is Hard Knocks Talks.